Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And before we start, just a quick reminder to click like or subscribe if you enjoyed these videos, since it really helps the channel and we're growing right now. And with that out of the way, let's get started with our video today. And seeing as the end of the year is fast approaching and 2022 will soon be far behind us, I thought it would be a great time to look back over the year and see which have been the top commanders of this year. So I'm going to be going over what are, in my opinion, the top 20 commanders of 2022. Before we start, just a quick note about the list. I will be ranking these commanders based on their power level, but also based on how unique they are, if they fill a niche that has never really been filled before in the commander format, and stuff like that. So it's a variety of different metrics, but mostly just my personal opinion. So if you disagree, of course, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And without further ado, we are starting with our pick number 20 from Jumpstart 2022. It's Isu the Abominable. This is on the list mostly on uniqueness and on niche filling because it is a Snow Matters commander. We haven't really seen that many of those before, and this one specifically cares about snow, and it's in 3 colors, which gives you a lot of opportunity for cool deck building options. Also, it's just cool that we have a Yeti commander. Moving on to 19, we have Mirim, Sentinel Worm. Now this one is pretty low on the list, basically because there's a lot of commanders that already care about dragons. However, this is a very strong one, and in a combination of colors that we haven't necessarily seen before. So it is in Teamer colors, which is really solid because it gives you access to a lot of good dragons. You are missing out on the black ones though, which is a little bit awkward. That being said, the Timmy aspect of just being able to double up all your dragons is awesome, and this is a very cool card. At number 18, we have Benny Brax, Zoologist. So this is a mono white commander, which is pretty unusual to make this kind of list. However, Benny Brax is very good. It's going to create a massive source of card advantage for you if you're playing mono white. And for me, this was the card that very clearly signaled that WotC was trying to change white's color identity and make white amazing at card draw, which it now is. So anyway, yes, I think this is a cool card, very cool to build around with instant speed tokens, and just an absolute powerhouse of a commander. At number 17, we have Satoru Umezawa. So this is a very cool one because people really like ninjutsu. It's a super cool ability. Ninjas are super cool. And this card is very fun because you don't actually need to play tribal ninjas, but you can still give that cool ninjutsu ability to any other card. So people have really enjoyed that, I think. And it's just nice to have another option for ninjutsu that isn't the absolutely broken Yuriko. So thumbs up for this card. Number 16 is one that I haven't seen on many lists, but it's Cosei Penitent Warlord. I think this is a really cool commander. It's a really cool build around. It encourages you to go mono green Voltron. That's not something we see very often. But not only that, you have to build around counters, you have to build around equipment, and you have to build around enchantment. But once you do, you get a really strong creature that can actually hit all of your opponents at the same time and should be able to end the game very quickly. That being said, it is a very specific deck, it's very niche, but I think it's really cool. At 15, we have probably one of the most boring cards on the list, but it's here purely because of power level. It's Jetman, Nexus of Rebels. So obviously this isn't doing anything particularly interesting, it's just a tokens matter commander, but boy is it efficient and powerful. It's one of the strongest commanders that we've had in the whole year, and probably in quite a few years. It just absolutely ends the game when it comes down, so you have to really be able to remove it on the spot, and if you can't, you're probably just going to lose that game. It's a very polarizing card, but it's incredibly strong, and there's no denying that it's one of the best commanders of 2022. Next up at number 14, we have Captain Nuggethrod, which is very interesting kind of commander. It goes for a few different angles. It's fun for those people who like milling, and it's fun for people who like horrors. And it's gonna let them mill people based on the amount of combat damage they dealt. So this is very cool with a bunch of different cards from the past. It's super good with Consuming Aberration. And it just means that a bunch of horrors that might have been barely playable before can suddenly be really good in this deck. It's also a really great flavorful card. It looks awesome as like a pirate that's just fishing stuff out of the sea from your opponents and putting it under your control. I just think this is a flavor win. It's a really cool niche filling commander, and it's a great build around. So yeah, it's definitely deserving of this list. At number 13, we have Minsk and Boo. This is the only Planeswalker commander to make it on this year's list, but it's a really strong one. So this was a deceptively powerful card that didn't look that strong when it first spoiled, and it was very cheap for the first couple of weeks. but it eventually took off, and it's even like good in Eternal formats. And obviously in Commander, this is fantastic when you build your deck around it. You have all these nice little sacrifice synergies, you have these fling abilities, you have all these cool things that you can do with this Commander. It's also really flavorful and cute. If you like hamsters or you like cuteness, then you'll probably really enjoy this card. So yeah, nice combination of power, flavor, and build around. So I think this one is totally deserving of the list. At number 12, we have Henzie Toolbox Torre. Now this commander is absolutely sweet. I loved it since it was spoiled. I've been playing it for quite a while. It's one of my favorite ones because there's so many ways to build around it. No two Henzie deck lists are gonna look the same, and I really like that. It's very powerful, and the ability is very powerful, but it does require quite a bit of build around. It requires you to make your deck in a way that a lot of synergy is involved, and I just love those kind of decks where I need to kind of think outside the box and make sure all the pieces add up so they're stronger together than individually. I think it's a very cool commander. At number 11, we have Greensleeve's Marrow Sorcerer. It's only this low on the list because it is a little bit boring and we have quite a few landfall commanders already, but this is a very powerful one. It's very cute that it makes badger tokens, and I think what I like the most about this commander is it's kind of the payoff and the build-up both in the same card, because it's going to reward you for having a bunch of lands on the table. So if you decide to play it late, you're just getting this huge monster, but if you play it early, you're getting all of these 3/3s, so it's nice at any point in the game. It's just a very solid landfall commander, and it even has a little bit of protection built in as well. At number 10, we have Goshin of Life's Origin. Now this one is really unique. It's a 5-color commander, but it cares about shrines. It's incredibly powerful and can reanimate enchantments too. The reason it's on the list is mostly because it fills a niche that we didn't have before. So now you have a perfect commander for your shrine decks. Anybody who played shrines is probably super happy when this got spoiled. And I just think that's nice. It's nice when people get tools so they can enjoy the commanders that they want to be able to play. For a similar reason, we have Be'lakor the Dark Master at number 9. Now this one is a demon tribal commander. We never really had a good demon tribal commander, and now we do, and boy is it a good one. In the same way as Greensleeves as well, it is great when played early and great when played late. You're going to either draw some cards or you're going to deal damage to your opponents straight to their faces. This can end the game really quickly. It also is a cool build around because it's kind of like a direct damage commander deck, which you don't see that often. I just think it's a really sweet card. At number 8, we have Hinata Dawn Crowned. I think this is awesome for a few different reasons. Basically, it kind of fills a niche, which is X spells. There are a couple of commanders that work well with that, but this one is just very powerful as well. So it has extreme power, it has the flavorful niche and the build around it, because you need to actually build around the specific kind of cards that work perfectly with this. It even has a little bit of taxing effect on your opponents. That might not be the most fun for some people, but there's no denying that this card is really cool and incredibly powerful. At number 7, we have AntiBlight Bad Influence. Now I recently made a deck tech about her, but suffice to say, I think this is one of the most unique red commanders that we've had in a while, and mono red is already the most unique color when it comes to commanders, but this one just gives you such a cool niche to build around. I also love the flavor and the art of the little devil like whispering on the ear. It would be really cool if in the future we got the good influence card. But anyway, I think this card just is going to enable so many new strategies and so many new possibilities, and it's just going to mean that there's going to be cards spoiled in the future that are just going to be perfect for this deck, and I love those kind of commanders that enable bad cards to suddenly find a perfect home. At number 6, we have a tie between Shanid Sleeper's Scourge and Joda the Unifier, because they're both commanders that care about legendaries, and they're both here really on power level. They're kind of flavorful and they're kind of cool and kind of build around. But let's be honest, these are two of the strongest commanders we've had in a long time. Shanid is going to draw you a card anytime you play anything legendary, including a land. That's nuts. And then you have Joda, which is just going to provide a massive pump to all your legendaries and going to give any legendary spell you cast basically legendary cascade. So this is just nuts. Both of them are really strong. It's difficult to choose one over the other. I know Joda is more popular, but it is also a little bit more broken and draws a little bit more ire. I think Shannon is ever so slightly more fair, but they're both incredibly powerful. At number 5, we have Megatron Tyrant, one of my personal favorites for the year. It's kind of standing in for all the Transformers cards because there's a lot of incredibly cool and fun designs there. They're all very flavorful too. I picked Megatron because I think it has one of the coolest build-around abilities, and it can let you kind of build the deck in multiple different ways. You can go direct damage to take advantage of the extra mana. You can go sacrifice for artifacts to take advantage of that and the dealing damage. But because you're only getting the sacrifice every other turn, it makes it kind of fair and not too oppressive. And it's also an artifact that can be easily removed. I think it's a perfectly balanced design where it's not too oppressive and not too strong, but it's good enough that you can still have fun building around it and winning games with it. At number 4, we have Goshin Kellermorph. Now this is another one that has been amazing ever since it was spoiled. It's enabled a whole new kind of deck, one built around specifically 1 damage. It doesn't matter if it's combat damage or non-combat, this is going to amplify any damage you deal that is exactly 1. That is really cool, and the fact that it comes in with ward as well just makes it really, really strong. It's very difficult to remove early, and late game they're still going to have to pay extra mana in order to remove it. And in the meantime, it's going to make all of your stuff hit like an absolute truck, and there's so many little synergies, so many bad cards that become good with this, so many ways to build around that ability with curiosity effects and stuff like that, that I just think it's one of the coolest commanders we've seen in a long time. Also, the art is amazing, and the flavor from Warhammer 40k really shines through. Great card. At number 3, we have Ishin 2 Heavens as 1. Not one of my favorite commanders personally, but I do have to recognize that this is incredibly strong and very fun for a lot of people. You have to kind of build around those on attack effects, but once you do, you're getting absolutely insane amounts of value. And there are a bunch of different ways you can kind of build around it. You can kind of build a defensive one where it doubles all negative effects when something attacks you, or you can go for the more normal version and just double all your offensive attack triggers and just absolutely go nuts. There's so many little combos and interactions and so many ways to take advantage of doubling triggers that Ishin has proved incredibly popular. And at only 3 mana, it is so cheap to get down, and then it's cheap to recast it even a couple of times, so it's just a very, very good card that needs to be removed on sight. At number 2, we have Kibo Uktabi Prince from Jumpstart 2022. I love this guy. It gained a lot of attention when it first got spoiled, and with good reason. It just kind of hits all the different axes you want in Commander. It's a bit of a political card. It can kind of help people, but then you can use those resources against them. It grows itself. It's cheap to play. It provides card advantage. It provides removal, and you even have a monkey theme to build around if you want to go that route. So there's about a million different ways you can build this. No 2 Kibo decks will look the same. That's a sign of a well-designed commander, if you ask me. It's not too strong. It just feels perfectly right in balance, and it just feels like it'll make commander games more fun and more interesting. And that's really what you want from your commander, right? To have memorable experiences. So I think Kibo absolutely deserves the number 2 spot. But he just misses out on number 1, which is Gix, Yogmoth Prater. Now, if you've watched my videos for any amount of time, you've probably realized how high I am on this card and how I still think it's undervalued monetarily. It's still under $20 somehow. This card is amazing. This, as a commander, is incredible for a bunch of different reasons, and I think it hits every metric of what I want in a commander. It's powerful, it requires build around, it is interactive, and it causes politics, which is really, really cool as well. And then it's also super flavorful and awesome in the art. I mean, it's Gix. It's one of the main characters in the history of the Magic storyline. So anyway, you can build around either the first ability or the second ability. The first one is very efficient, kind of card advantage, and it also encourages people to attack each other rather than you, which is great as a political tool. But then you also have that second ability stapled on there if you want to have one of those memorable commander moments like discarding your hand and rolling the dice and seeing if you hit something good from your opponent's deck. That's really fun. We've had a few games already where this has absolutely failed to hit anything good and just been hilarious when you kind of like throw away the game like that. I love those kind of situations. But I mean, you can't really beat Gix for power. It's just incredibly powerful to be drawing an extra card for every creature you control that connects, and it's very fun to build around and try to find small little creatures that can get through for damage. I just think this is a really, really sweet commander, and also the art, the flavor, just everything is so cool about it. is definitely my pick for the top commander of 2022, probably quite controversial. But what are your thoughts on this video? Do you agree with my opinions about the best commanders? Please let me know in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. We're currently growing the channel and it really helps a lot. And until next time, take care.